Hello everyone and welcome to the TCNJ iSTEM webinar. My name is Michael Ellard. I am the Assistant Director in the Graduate Office and I will be your host for this evening. We also have Dr. Steve O'Brien from the iSTEM program who is with us tonight as well. Just a few housekeeping items and a brief overview of how this is going to work tonight. In a few minutes, I'm going to transition over to Steve, and he's going to do a presentation on iSTEM and the benefits of the program at TCNJ. He's going to hand it back over to me, and I'll do about a 10-minute presentation on admissions and all the requirements for the iSTEM program. And then we'll be able to answer all of your questions. This is a one-way communication, so we cannot see you or hear you. So in order to communicate with us, there is a tab for questions. So please type any questions in there that you have for us, and we will go ahead and answer them for you at the end of this presentation. So without further ado, I will pass this on to Dr. Steve O'Brien.
Hello, everybody. Hopefully everybody can hear me well. I appreciate you taking the time to learn more about our program. All of you, I think, are probably full-time teachers, and so it's been a long day already, so I appreciate your time this evening to learn about the program. So Mike introduced me. I'm the coordinator of the Masters of Education program in Integrative STEM, and I'm also the director of the Center for Excellence in STEM Education. Well, both of those are housed out of the TCNJ School of Engineering. So how I organized my presentation is I probably have, I think, 3 or 4 slides that give an overview of kind of a context of where we're coming from. Most teachers probably think it might be a little bit awkward that a program like this is coming out of, for example, a School of Engineering, but we have a long history in education. So I'll go through that context a little bit for you guys, and then go into the details of the program and how it's designed. And then I think Michael will go through some stuff for the admissions side of things, and then open up for questions. And let me. So we're located in the School of Engineering. This is where the department is called the Department of Technological Studies, and I'll tell you more about that in a minute. There's 4 other programs in the School of Engineering: electrical computer engineering, mechanical engineering, civil engineering, and biomedical engineering. So as a school, we have about 700 students and about 27 faculty. And as it noted here on this slide, the Department of Technological Studies mission is really PK to 12 STEM education. So we have kind of 3 things I want to talk about that the department is highly involved with. One is undergraduate programs, the second is graduate programs, and the third is the Center for Excellence in STEM Education. So we have 2 undergraduate programs. The first is a secondary program, which most people here might recognize as a technology engineering or technology pre-engineering program. So it's typically people are placed when they graduate from that program in middle school or high school. The other program is a K-5 program, but most students get endorsements for middle school math and science, so hence I put in parentheses, I put it 8 because most people that graduate from that also are certified or endorsed for middle school math and science. And that program has often been the largest education major on campus, and so it's grown fairly fast in the last 7, 8, 9 years. That program is probably the oldest integrated STEM program in the country. It started in 1998. And so that focus of that program has been integrated STEM for quite some time. And just a note on the bottom of that is, like all of the K-5 majors at TCNJ, there's 6 education majors that we host for that major as well: elementary ed, early childhood, special ed, urban ed, deaf and hard of hearing. And so we get quite a diversity of majors in that program. Then for the graduate programs, we have 2. One is a Master's in the Art of Teaching. We run the program designed around technology and pre-engineering, and then that program is for initial certifications. That's typically for someone who has a bachelor's degree in, say, engineering or architecture and want to go back and become a teacher. So this is a full year cohort-driven model. And then the program we're reviewing tonight is the Integrated STEM Masters in Education program, which is designed for in-service teachers. The third activity we were highly involved in and extremely busy is a Center for Excellence in STEM Education. So the mission of that center is to do a lot of outreach, professional development, and curriculum development specifically for K-12 schools and teachers. So a few things are listed here that we're involved in or have been involved in a lot just the last few years. We still run the Technology Student Association competitions every year for the state of New Jersey. So we bring in about over 2,000 middle school and high school students every spring for their state design competitions, and do a full year of work, getting coaching up and running for the students and leadership conferences to help the students and the teachers that are running the programs at their local schools. For example, for curriculum development, we've developed a 4-year program of study for the state of New Jersey, which is an integrative STEM program that has a socially responsible engineering theme to it. And so we thought that would be important to bring a socially conscious theme into that program of study, and that helps, as an example, one example that helps attract underrepresented students to STEM fields. We've been doing for several years a lot of integrated STEM and NGSS professional development for teachers, probably well over 1,200 teachers and administrators over the last 5 years. And we have a new recent grant just to show you how we're expanding out. We're extending that to computer science education as well. So we have a grant for 3 years to do professional development for teachers to build capacity for computer science education in K through 12. And that's looking like it's going to be commensurate with a lot of motion out of New Jersey DOE to include computer science more efficiently in the curriculum and requirements for students, which is, I think, a nice thing to do, I think, for New Jersey. So our department, I list the faculty members here, and you can read their backgrounds. We're very STEM content heavy as well as education expertise as well. And at the bottom we have quite a few adjuncts that work for our classes as well. So we support a very large number of courses given the 4 programs I've outlined to you already. And so it takes quite a bit of work to keep those programs and courses up and running. So we have 2 locations that we're going to support for this program. The first is on campus. That's in Ewing, New Jersey, and we started that program this last summer. So our first group of students started in the second semester of the summer into courses Summer 2 and Summer 3 session, and they're continuing on teaching a course for them this fall as well, and we'll continue again in the spring. And then we're also starting up a northern satellite location, which will be housed out of Chatham Middle School, and that'll start this spring. So that has a deadline date, I think, of December 1st for application, and classes, I don't remember when the classes will start, but I think it's the 3rd week of January. Part of the reason we did the northern satellite location is there's a fairly large density of teachers that live up in that region, and that's a good hour and a half or more drive down to New Jersey, or TCNJ, I should say. And so that's just too long a drive, I think, for a lot of teachers to do this program. So we're working with Chatham and establishing a site there. I'll be using their facilities at the middle school. So what is integrative STEM education? It's a bit complicated. That's why there's a whole master's program in it. But briefly stated, the 2 fundamental tenets, I think, are A, it's integrative. So that's an easy one because it's in the title. And what that makes explicit is intentional cross-curricular design in classroom activities. And so we think that's really powerful. It gets much more authenticity to the students. Also probably much higher cognitive engagement from the students as well. The second component is design pedagogies, or design-centric PBL, or problem-based learning, is probably a quick way to describe that. So what this really centers on is really the T&E of STEM. And so the bottom line is we try to get students to design solutions to problems. And so this is very, very, very student-centric. Students have to understand how to get knowledge, where to get knowledge, what skills do they need to do the design. So it's a very intricate process that they have to learn, as well as the teachers. The teachers these days don't often know how to teach how to design, and hence that's why our Integrative STEM Education Center has been doing a lot of PD in this area. Some of you teachers probably understand also that with NGSS, engineering is brought into science standards, and that's one of the motivations, I think, for the NGSS standards was that, exactly that, to have design-centric methodologies being used in the classroom. Design, we think, also goes even deeper in the sense that we think it gives a really useful framework for overall teaching and learning methods, not just STEM, for example. So we have a phrase that we talk about somewhat often in the undergraduate programs for teachers to think of themselves as teachers as designers of teaching and learning experiences. That's a very different mindset, I think. And so it kind of, I think, infers a very active role in the teaching and learning process as a designer. And so I think that's something we see in the undergraduate students where when they graduate, I think they think of the teaching and learning experience as a very active design-centric activity in general. So what are the key attributes of the program? So it's the first two attributes I just got done just describing. It's integrative. We talk a lot about how to do integrative activities in the classroom. And then we talk a lot about and experience a lot about design-centric pedagogy. What does that look like? What do design-centric problem or project-based learning methods look like? The second two attributes are we do cover content knowledge. And so there are content courses that are required as part of the program. And I'll get through those in a minute. I think that's important to help broaden teachers' background in certain content areas because we want that a broadened effect for the teachers. We offer a fair amount of content area knowledge courses, and not all of them are required, but we want a breadth there that teachers can choose from. The last aspect, the fourth aspect, I think is important for the programs. We take a very practical approach. You can see from our background, our job is to generate teachers, right? We're a pre-service teacher program, and so our job is to generate teachers. Also with the center, we really focus on teachers and students in K through 12. And so those are both very practical approaches. What do the teachers need in a program or in a school classroom in order to implement integrated STEM methods? And so we try to have every course have some practical aspects to it. Whether it's writing curriculum or the beginnings of curriculum or maybe modified SGOs. So we do quite a bit, as much as we can, to make that very practical. A part of the program includes, for example, a capstone experience that has the teacher experience and practice some of the things they're learning in their classroom environment and then report back to the class about that. So the structure of the program has three components, fairly straightforward, I think, to understand. There's a 15-credit core where we talk about a lot of these basic tenets of integrated STEM methodologies. And then there's this content and research core. So this is where there's STEM content and a research course that's required. So that's 9 credits. And then we have 4 courses or 12 credits in electives. And this is an additional pathway that we give teachers even more flexibility for doing a variety of things that they might choose to get more detailed experience with. So the core, let's talk about the core first. So the courses are listed here. STEM 510, Foundations Integrated STEM, like what's the tenets of integrated STEM, what's design-centric problem-based learning, project-based learning. After that course, we go into integrated STEM pedagogy, where we can focus on those methods in more detail as opposed to an overview. And then curriculum, what does curriculum look like? How do you design curriculum, test curriculum? It's, anywhere from what activities you're going to do to your assessments. STEM 610 is Emerging Trends and Issues in Integrated STEM Education. So that's where we get to bring in a lot of really current research in the field, and also also comes up in there some advocacy kinds of work that's going on in the integrated STEM field. In the last course, that's the last 2 courses are highlighted in blue here, and the reason they're highlighted in blue is because those are taken together. The STEM 700 is really a 0-credit course. There's nothing different you really do in that course. It's really to capture that capstone experience I talked about earlier. So as part of 661 is really you'll be asked to have experience and implement an integrated STEM activity in your classroom or in your community or with parents or a group. It could be a group of parents, for example. That's creativity, systems, and critical thinking in education. So that's where we get to focus more on 21st century skills and how it's related to integrated STEM education. So that's the core, 15 credits and 6 courses, but one of those courses is really 0 credit, just captures the capstone. The second component has 3 courses. So there's 2 content courses. The first one that requires a math, quantitative reasoning-centric course. That's STEM 631, Applied Math and Statistics and Integrative STEM Education. So I think our experience with our undergraduate students is they oftentimes need more help in understanding how to get students to quantitatively think in these design-centric activities. And so, for example, how do you, certainly with beginning designers, you can often ask them to make very appropriate to have them make decisions that are very non-quantitative, but as they get more experienced, you want them to be able to understand that quantitative-based decisions will be better and give you better design. So there's some statistical kinds of things that are common that come up in making design decisions. So we'll review some statistical applications for design. Again, that's very grade appropriate in middle school or high school. Obviously K through 5, there's probably very little statistical decisions going on. And then there's a little bit of that course where we'll talk about statistics you might need for doing education research. And that will go in line with the EDFN 508, the third course here, which is Introduction to Education Research, where there's a portion of that course that the statistics will help a little bit in that course as well. And the blue course is a content course. And I don't number it here because the XXX could be one of several things. And so go to that page. So there's 5 content courses that we're supporting. I'll go through them real quick here. There's a data visualization and analytical information design course, biotechnology systems and sustainability design, architectural and civil technology, mechanical technology, and then electronics technology. So I think the names of these courses, I think describe, you can imagine what those courses would be, except for maybe the first one, data visualization and analytical information design. It's a really long title and it's a really dense title, but it's I think a really neat course in the sense of a lot of STEM teaching can involve how does a teacher understand how they might want to get a student to visualize something that's happening? Literally, how do you draw a graph? How could you draw a figure that you can convey information that can be in a range of complexity or simplicity? And so there's a bunch of data mining and data visualization kinds of things we want to go through to give teachers more tools to be able to generate graphical or visualizable data or information or concepts in STEM fields to the students. And that could also be translated to how the students might be able to do the same thing. The electives, there's 4 courses, and these are chosen by the student. There's 6 pathways, so it gets a little complicated, but there's 6 pathways that the student could choose to do. The first 2 in green, those are highlighted in green really for 2 reasons. One reason I note here is those are the only 2 pathways that will support, at least at the beginning, for the northern satellite location. Until that grows to have more teachers, we really can only support so many of these pathways up north. So we'll support those 2. And also the second reason, with the students that are in the program now, those are pretty much the most popular choices for all the students from the program. I'd say 90% are choosing, probably 80% are choosing the supervisor pathway, another 20% are choosing design, and no one's chosen option 3, 4, and 5, or 6 yet. Let's talk about those pathways in a little bit more detail. The supervisor cert is if you take very specific 4 courses, you can get the New Jersey supervisor certification, the official certification from New Jersey State. And I'll talk about that in the next slide just to give you a little bit more detail for that since that's chosen fairly frequently. The second pathway is for design courses. So for that pathway, you would take 4 of those content courses. So you'd be specializing much more so in content. So it's design-centric activities and understandings, curriculum, and content in one of those 5 courses I just reviewed before. The third one is inclusive practices special education. So we feel really strongly that integrated STEM methods has very strong linkages and connections to inclusion. And it comes up a lot in our undergraduate course of studies. And so this is a way for the master's student to, again, go deeper into those connections by taking 4 courses that are supported by our special ed department. Middle school math, I think the name there is straightforward. There's 4 content courses that you could take that's offered by our math department. And these are courses that are specifically designed for middle school math content. These are courses that are designed by math education experts in our math department, and were originally designed out of that education center I told you before about 8 or 9 years ago, out of some really intensive PD that they were doing at the time for middle school math teachers. And that work translated into academic courses that are supported by the school for education majors. The fifth pathway is research. In case someone thinks they want to go into a research direction, like maybe do a PhD, those courses would be focused more on understanding more details about education research in STEM fields, STEM education fields. The sixth one is really a catch-all category. It's self-defined. That's something you'd work out with between yourself and myself. Those could be courses in a variety of areas. Could be maybe one design course, one inclusion course, one middle school math course, and maybe a research course. Literally, there'd be a lot of flexibility on that. As we're talking about these pathways, a reminder to everyone here is at TCNJ, you can transfer in 2 courses from other universities, and so keep that in mind as well. If you've taken courses that might overlap with some of the courses I've already talked about, or that might fit into one of these pathways, you could transfer 2 of those courses in, and we would count those towards your degree program. The New Jersey state requirements, the top 4 items on this slide review essentially what the New Jersey DOE site says. New Jersey DOE site you should probably go to and get more detailed information, but at a high level this is what is reviewed there. And so if you complete the Masters of Education program in Integrative STEM and take these 4 courses in green at the bottom for your 4 pathway elective courses, you will meet all the requirements for the supervisor certification for the state of New Jersey. We also have, so here's the New Jersey Supervisor Cert, mentioned again. We also will have middle school math, science, or secondary endorsements that are possible. I can't guarantee these because it really depends on your own personal background in terms of how many courses you have. But for example, the content courses we have will be approved by New Jersey in math and or science, and those could count towards, for example, the 15 credits needed for middle school math endorsement or 30 credits needed for secondary endorsements in math or science. And then we have TCNJ certificates as well, and those will be for educational methods, special ed, or research, or engineering design, depending on the pathway you choose. So in review, there is 15 credits or 5 courses for the core, 9 credits or 3 courses for the content and research portion of the program, and then 12 credits or 4 courses for the electives, totaling 36 credits. And I think I'm done, Michael.
All right, thank you, Steve. I'm just going to take a second here and switch screens. All right, so hopefully everyone sees my PowerPoint now. All right, one thing I did want to mention is that tonight's webinar is being recorded. So for anybody that signed on late, for anybody that had to step away, you will be able to log on to our website, and I'll show you exactly where, and you'll be able to view this webinar. So if you missed something, if you wanted to take notes, you will be able to view it again. So as I mentioned before, I am the Assistant Director in the Office of Graduate and Advancing Education. Now, one thing I wanted to point out, that is a new name for us. We implemented that name this past summer. It used to be the Office of Graduate Studies. So when you're browsing the website, when you're looking through brochures, you will see my office labeled as the Office of Graduate and Advancing Education and the Office of Graduate Studies. So if you find either one of those, you are in the right place. So a quick little history and overview of the College of New Jersey. It was founded in 1855 as a New Jersey State Normal School. For those of you that are not familiar with that, it was a teacher's college. It stayed that way until about the 1950s. They began to expand the college. They began to offer more programs, other things besides education. So then they changed their name. Some of you may be familiar with Trenton State College. and then around the 1990s is when it transitioned to its present name of the College of New Jersey. Over the years, we've been giving a lot of national acclaim, which I'll show a few examples on my next slide. For those of you that are not familiar with where we are located, we are in Ewing, New Jersey, which is about 15 minutes from the state capital of Trenton. We're about an hour away from Philadelphia and an hour and a half away from New York City. I recommend coming by campus, walk around, get a tour. We have about 289 acres. It's very beautiful. It's very scenic. And the best way to see it is through a tour that would be offered through the undergraduate office. For those of you that are coming from a distance and you're looking to live on campus, we just built a few years ago Campus Town. So it's got all different types of restaurants in there. It's got the bookstore. It's got a gym facility in there. And above that all are brand new apartments that are available to graduate students for rent. So if you're looking for a place to live, that is the first place I would recommend looking. Here are some of the national acclaim, some of the nice things that have been written about us. Two things that really stand out to me. U.S. News and World Report ranked us the number one college, the number one public college in the master's category for the northern region of the country for the past 2 decades. Also, Barron's ranked us one of 75 schools as most competitive, and what's great about that is we are one of 5 state-supported institutions on that list. Those two things really stood out to me because one, 2 decades, it shows longevity, it shows consistency over that time frame. And then also we're competing with schools nationally like UNC Chapel Hill, UCLA, UVA, a lot of recognizable schools, and it shows that we're able to compete on a national level with those schools. Some of the fast facts about the graduate office. Annually, we bring in about 1,100 applications. You can see the breakdown of summer, fall, and spring, approximately how many students we may have at one time. How the admissions process works is you apply to my office. You get your applications in, you get your transcripts, your letter recommendation, and so on and so forth, and I'll show you a list of everything you need. We put together your file, and then once it is complete, the faculty, the coordinators of the programs, are the one who actually review the applications. So we put everything together, they review the application, they determine whether or not to accept a student, and then they send us back the decision, and then we communicate with you that decision. So we are essentially the middleman. So we work with you before and after the admissions process, but the faculty are the ones who actually review and determine who to accept. You'll see we have about 80% to 20% female to male ratio, and then you'll see the breakdown of the ethnicity in our programs. Right now we have about 70% part-time students versus 30% full-time. That's not really surprising because when you think about many students who go to graduate school, a lot of them are working full-time jobs, a lot of them have families, have kids, they don't have time to be a full-time student. So to be a part-time student, it just fits more nationally with this type of graduate student. The reason we have such a high number is because we do give you a 6-year window to graduate. So when you are accepted, you have 6 years to complete your degree, okay? To qualify as a full-time student, you must take 3 courses or 9 credits, okay? Anything less than that, you are considered part-time because we realize maybe you have to take a semester off, maybe you can only take 1 course at a time. That is why you do have that time frame to complete your degree. Right now we have about 85% New Jersey residents. It's not really surprising because we're a New Jersey state school, so the cost is a little more affordable for New Jersey residents. We have over 500 students every year that graduate. Now those 500 students, they're not necessarily graduating with a degree, but maybe some type of certification. So we bring in about 1,100 new applications annually, and over 500 of those students are graduating. Many programs do require the GRE. So the average score nationally for somebody taking the GRE per section is a 150 to a 160, and you'll see our breakdown of the verbal and quantitative sections, 158 and 151 respectively. And then we're right on par with the acceptance rate with 70% and yield rate of 85%. All in all, we offer about 28 different graduate degree programs, 14 graduate certificate programs, and we also have global opportunities that are available. So for those students looking to take some courses overseas, possibly in the summertime, maybe you want to go away for a few weeks and take a couple courses, we do offer programs in Vietnam, Portugal, Thailand, Spain, Egypt, and Taiwan. So that is something that I would recommend looking into if you do have interest to essentially study abroad. All right, now on to the admissions process. When you go on our website and you're looking to apply, there are two types of applications that are available to you, matriculation and non-matriculation. So for those of you that have the intention to complete a degree, you are 100% sure iSTEM is what you want to pursue, then you are going to apply for matriculation. If you are looking to just take a few courses, see if this is the right program for you, maybe you don't even have the intention to complete a degree, then non-matriculation is the route you want to apply for. It's essentially, I like to refer to it as being undecided or undeclared. What's great about going for non-matriculation is you're allowed to take a couple courses, see if it's right for you, and if you decide at a later date that you want to eventually apply for matriculation and complete your degree, up to 2 of those courses will transfer over to your degree that you will pursue as a matriculated student. For those of you that are applying for matriculation, this is what we're going to need from you. The online application, I'll show you in a few seconds where you can find that. There is a $75 fee with that application that is waived for any previous TCNJ undergraduate or graduate student. We need an essay from you, 2 letters of recommendation. We want to see official transcripts from all schools attended, both undergraduate and graduate. We want to see your resume and your GRE scores. Now, those GRE scores are waived for any applicant who already holds a master's degree or higher, and also any student coming from or that had graduated from TCNJ with a 3.0 GPA or better. Now, every program does have some supplemental items, so I'll bring you to our website here. And if you look on our site here, scroll down, everything I just said that you needed is listed right here, in addition to a copy of your teaching certification and the iSTEM field report, okay? I always recommend familiarize yourself with our website because any types of questions that you're going to have, most likely you'll be able to find the answers on our website. So let me just point out a few key components here that you may need. All right, so here's our main page right here. All right, and you'll see there's a big button there for apply now, right? Really simple to apply to our graduate programs. As you look up here on this gray bar, you'll see, just scroll over a few. If you want information about student financial aid, if you need financial support, tuition and fees is right there. You go click over apply. You have the required supplemental documents, which I just showed you, as well as the application deadlines. And lastly, under resources, if you scroll down, you will see at the bottom here, virtual open house series videos. That is a link to our YouTube page, which is after tonight, which is where this recording will be housed. So you go right on our site, resources, click on virtual open house series, and you'll be able to see the recording of tonight's webinar, okay? One thing I wanted to point out here, when you click on apply, so once you're done tonight, if you want to go online, you want to apply, the only applications that are available are for the spring 2017 matriculation and spring 2017 non-matriculation. For those of you that are looking to start in the spring, then you'll be able to apply tonight if you wanted to. But for those that are looking to apply for the fall, that application will not be available until approximately another 2 weeks. Early November is when we're looking to have that application up and running. But all you have to do is click on apply, go here, and it'll show you when that application is available. All right, for those that are applying for non-matriculation, it's a lot less hectic. We only need your online application, still the $75 application fee, which is waived for TCNJ undergraduate and graduate students. We need a brief statement of your goals. We want to see, why you're interested in TCNJ, why you're interested in iSTEM, what you hope to get out of this program, and then also your resume. Okay? Once you get all of those pieces into us, we will have your application reviewed by the deadlines, which I'll show on the next slide. One thing I always recommend is get your materials in as soon as possible. Okay? You'll see here for the spring, December 1st is the final deadline. So you may say, oh, that's still, another 6 weeks away, still a month and a half almost away. I'm going to wait. Do not wait, because there's always delays with getting transcripts to us. There's always issues with technology. There's always something that pops up. So do not wait. Get your application, transcript, get everything in early to us. And the best thing I always tell students is to communicate with us. Reach out to me, send me an email, give me a call, say, hey, Mike, what am I missing? I sent in my application and the transcripts. Do you have everything else? And I'll say, no, we're missing your GRE scores, your essay, or whatever it is. I will let you know. And then, by the December 1st deadline, you'll get reviewed and hear back from us shortly thereafter. For those interested in applying for the fall, you'll see February 1st is a priority consideration deadline, and August 1st is a final deadline. Applying for non-matriculation, you'll see there's it's a little more flexible. For the spring and for the fall, you have priority deadlines of December 1st and August 1st, with final deadlines of January 7th and August 15th, respectively. So as I always say, get everything in as soon as possible, because once you hit those deadlines, January 7th and August 15th, we will not accept any new applications. So those are final deadlines, and there's not much flexibility with there. All right, so lastly, for those interested in being a graduate assistant, what you have to do to qualify, you must be a full-time student, which means you're taking 3 courses or 9 credits. You must be a matriculated student, and you must have an undergraduate CUME GPA of a 3.0. If you meet all those requirements and you want to be a GA, you go on our website, you open up the application. It'll be open come January. You have until April 15th to fill out the application. And to be a GA, you don't apply to be a GA in my office, or you don't apply to be a GA in one of the program's offices. You just apply to be a general GA, okay? During the months of May and June, the offices will review all of the applications that come in. They will reach out to you. They will set up an interview with you, and then they ultimately decide who they want to hire. If you are hired to be a GA starting next fall, you are required to complete 15 hours of work a week during the fall and spring semesters in that office where you've been hired. And to compensate you for your work, you will receive a $10,000 tuition waiver, $5,000 for the spring and $5,000 for the fall. To put that in perspective, $10,000 for a full-time student in-state, that'll cover about 2/3 of your costs. So it is a nice financial assistance that is provided for a GA. And on our site, there's more information about being a GA, and there's more information about deadlines and things like that. So I recommend familiarizing yourself with our website and just communicating with us with any questions you may have. So you will see right here, the Office of Graduate and Advancing Education. That's our email. That's our phone number. You see my information there, my email, my phone number. When you're on campus, or if you're going to campus soon, our office is located in Lozier Hall. My office is room 110, and my secretary's office is 109 right next to me. You can't miss us, but we are in Lozier Hall, so feel free to stop by, send me an email. Any questions you have, I'd be more than happy to help, okay? So I'm going to now bring up the questions here, and we'll get them answered for you. All right. All right, Steve. Are there any online courses?
We always get that question. Not yet. And so our plan is to probably in another couple semesters is to transition those core courses, or a large portion of them, to blended. And so that means instead of coming for example, for a fall semester, there might be 13 to 15 meetings once a week. But for blended in a normal format, in a blended format, you'd probably come on campus maybe 3 times, and then the rest would be run through an online system. So for now, we probably will commit, well, we are committing to doing blended versions of those courses, but there's no programs yet designed at TCNJ for fully online. In a lot of ways, that makes sense for this program, because a lot of the work we like to do, and certainly some of these core courses, is very hands-on. To be able to understand design, it's really valuable to be able to touch things, design things, try different processes, and so it's hard to do online. Can definitely do some neat things online there, I've seen done, but for now we're committing to do blended but not totally online.
Okay. Will there be summer classes offered?
Yeah. So that gets down to the number of students that are interested in doing the program. So we started the program last summer in the Summer 2 session. We have 3 sessions at TCNJ called Summer 1, Summer 2, and Summer 3, trying to keep it simple. Summer 1 is really a short semester, mostly really for undergraduates to take courses, and that's, we call it, the acronym for that name is, or the nickname for that semester is Maymester. That's a really tough semester for teachers because you're still really fully involved in teaching. And so we really start Summer 2, which is in June. And so we started this program last June, and we had a good number of students coming in to start the program. If we still have another group of students, we will do that again. And so starting every Summer 2 session will make sense as long as we have the students to support the program.
All right, and here's a question for me about the deadlines. Let me just go back to that slide here. For the matriculation deadlines for the spring, you'll see December 1st is the upcoming final deadline. And then for those interested in the fall, February 1st is a priority consideration. So if you apply before then, you'll get reviewed around the February 1st deadline, and then August 1st is the final deadline. And like I said before, communication is key, so reach out to us. We'll let you know where you are in the application process. All right. Steve, what time will classes start, and how often a week are they?
That depends on the semester. And so let me go through the 2 typical examples. So this last summer, I'll talk about now. So in the fall semesters are longer. They're like 13 to 14 and a half weeks long. And so in the courses we're doing this semester, we're meeting once a week. Class starts at 5:30 or 6 and goes for, I think how long it goes for almost 3 hours. It goes from like say 5:30 to 8:30 or say 6 o'clock to 9. And so that's a typical semester type of time frame. And so we try to take feedback from the students. So my class now starts at 5:30, but it wasn't quite enough time for the teachers to make it there in time. So the course that this group of students will be taking next semester will start at 6 just to give them an extra half an hour. So we're fairly flexible with that. The condensed sessions are the summer sessions. Those are only 5 weeks long, and we meet twice a week. And that's twice a week for like three and a half hours each time. So those are more intense in the sense it's 5 weeks, it's twice a week, still stay evening routine going. I think that also supports or helps those teachers. Maybe they have children, maybe they have athletic activities they're doing during the day. I just want to keep that time frame consistent so that they're always knowing they have classes in the evenings and not have to worry about which classes are daytimes and which classes are evenings. So in the summer session, we were starting at about the same time. We're starting at 5:30 in the afternoon. So that seems to be what's most popular for the teachers. In the summertime, we're flexible. We can start any time. But in the summers and in the falls and springs, we really have to start at 5:30 or 6 just to give teachers time to get to TCNJ. Or if in the northern satellite location, it could be similar. Maybe they need time after school to take a break, gather some energy, grab some dinner, and then come to class at 5:30 or 6. Again, we'd be flexible in the northern satellite location because driving time is less. Maybe we could start at 4:30. Right? So we'd be flexible with that, but certainly it'd be a non-teaching time frame.
All right. Does this program fulfill the requirements for the Technology Certificate of Eligibility?
So for technology education, it's similar for any secondary education endorsement or certification, you need 30 credits. The technology education and certification or endorsement is a little more complicated because there's several subcategories you have to also meet. So there's a breadth of content, for example, that most people who want to get that endorsement don't have. And so all of the content courses you see would apply towards someone's technology education endorsement. And so I can't know if the answer to your question is yes or no unless I look at your past transcripts. If you don't have any content courses that would be considered design-centric, per the technology education breadth requirements, then you would need to have 30 credits worth of work, and this program will not do that for you. You can see if you take the design pathway, you'll have 4 courses in design pathway, the math course in that middle category, and plus that other content course in the middle category, so you'd have 6 courses that would apply toward your technology education certification or endorsement. And so that's 6 courses times 3 is 18. And so if you have another 12 courses or 12 credits worth of content that would overlap with the breadth requirements of the technology education endorsement, then yes. But push comes to shove, you could get 18 credits closer to what you have already.
All right, and that looks like all the questions. So I just want to put my contact information up here, as well as my graduate office here. So if you leave here tonight, next week, come up with any more questions, feel free, shoot me an email, give me a call. If you have questions for Steve, I'll gladly forward them on to him as well. Steve, do you have anything else to add?
Oh, just thank you for your time. I appreciate you spending time in the evening. Like I said before, it's a really busy day for teachers. So just really appreciate your time. If you have any questions, send me an email, give me a call, and I'd be glad to help out. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, everybody, and feel free to go online later, and you could review this presentation on our YouTube page. So we look forward to working with you in the future, and have a great night.